everyone, welcome to another episode of Let's Be Real. It's been some time, and this time round I'm returning with another analysis series, and this time we will be talking about Skye at Holland. Right before I did this shoot, I actually turned on my Instagram. I have a friend that commented, I want to buy Skye. But unfortunately, her MOP is not up yet, so she can't do that. But I will share with you what's the reason of why she wants to buy Skye. Okay, so as you can see, Skye at Holland, basically it's two blocks, Block 2 and Block 6 in District 10. I think I don't need to explain too much, but you also know that it's actually in the heart of Holland Village. Total of 666 units, 99-year leasehold project. And also the land cost itself is 1,285 per plot ratio, which I will touch on that later. For the developer itself, it's actually a joint venture between Capital Land Development, UOL, Singapore Land and King Leong. And these developers are really top-notch in Singapore, and some of the recent projects that they have done up, you can see over here is Lindenwood, Upper House, which is in Orchard, and also V on Shenton. So do note that they are not that kind of developer that, just do one project or maybe a few. They actually have belts of top-notch projects. Okay, next we will be going to the maintenance fee. This one is just an estimated, but basically 2-bedder you'll be looking at about 390 all the way to 5-bedder, which is 520. Honestly speaking, this is actually very affordable for these days because sometimes 2-bedder it actually hits the 400 range already. Sometimes it's good that we pay slightly higher because you'll be assured that you do have enough sinking fund in your account to take care of your project and things like that. And for this kind of developer, you can be assured that your project will be well taken care of. So next, we'll go into the land price. Why I mentioned land price is because just now I mentioned that we actually have a low land price bid at 1,285. Okay, so basically this is Skye at Holland, 1,285 PSF per plot ratio. Let's compare with some of the upcoming projects, like for example the River Green Parcel B. You are already looking at 1,420. Bayshore, which is towards the east area, is already 1,388, which is more expensive than the land in Skye at Holland area, and we are talking about Prime District 10. All the way to Chuan Park, Chuan Grove, which is that Lorong Chuan area, 1,376, which is also higher. And of course, the next plot coming at Holland V, Holland Link, is 1,432, which is also higher. So why we are going through this is because potentially this might be one of the lower land plot in the area. Hence, in terms of starting price, it might be more affordable. Okay, so next, without further ado, let's go into the location map. So you can see this is actually a superimposed image of how Skye at Holland will be looking at. Right now, you can see at the back, this area is actually Singapore Botanical Garden. This area, we are actually right beside Holland Village. It's a short walk to Holland VMRT, about 6 minutes. And it's a short drive to actually Ion Orchard. And then we are right beside One Holland Village as well, which is over here. Okay, so in the future, this area currently is the car park, but there's going to be BTOs coming up and things like that, which we'll share a little bit further in the slides after this. Okay, so next, still location. As you can see, we are located over here, the red color portion. Okay, and we are right next to Holland Village. Of course, when we are next to Holland Village, you do know that there will be a Holland Drive Market and Food Centre, and we are also rather near the Empress Market and Food Centre and Ghim Moh Market and Food Centre. So if you are someone that says that, I don't want to just eat cafe food or restaurant food all the time, then don't worry because there's markets and hawker centre all around. In fact, Holland Village itself has already a hawker centre on its own. Alright, so as you can see, we are 7 minutes walk to Chip B Gardens, where there's a lot of nice Italian restaurant. I think Kiong Siap Bakery is over there as well. 6 minutes walk to Holland Village MRT. 1 minute walk to One Holland Village. And One Holland Village is very important because I forgot the importance of having a pet mall until all my friends, I'm basically those with pets, tell me, hey, I want to stay near Skye at Holland. Why? Because of One Holland Village, I can finally eat with my dog in a cafe. And I'm like, oh, so that's important to you guys. And they are like, of course. So don't underestimate that, alright? Then we are also a 10 minutes walk to Rail Corridor. So if you're someone that like to enjoy short stroll, this will be a nice place for you. Short drive to the Star Vista, where you get another mall. Dempsey, you don't need to pay parking and you can have a lot of good food. So, and also a 7 minutes drive to Singapore Botanical Garden and only 10 minutes away from the Orchard Belt. Very convenient. Okay, so next you can see that this is gonna be the plot of land for Skye at Holland. Basically, we are next to One Holland Village residences, where it's residences combined with service apartment, combined with actually a mall. Holland V is actually right over here. Okay, and if you notice the La Nonna, the Italian food, the Korean barbecue, they are all at this plot. And then after that, of course, you got the Holland Village Park right over here, and this is where the MRT is already. And right opposite the MRT is actually the Raffles Holland V, which is also a smaller mall, and also the Chippy Gardens area. Even on this area, you do get a lot of F&Bs and cafe as well. Personally, one of my favorite cafe is right over here on top, the rooftop. I can't remember the name though. So in terms of universities and school, we are actually close to multiple schools like Henry Park Primary School, ACSI. We are also close to National University of Singapore, NUS, and we are near the CBD area and the One North, Metropolis, Biolopolis, the area as well. So we are just a 10 minutes drive to NUS. We are 5 minutes drive to Henry Park, one of the top primary school in Singapore. 5 minutes drive to One North Business Park, where there are many businesses there right now. So in terms of rental, I think most of them, if they don't want to stay too near to their workplace, they might be looking at Holland V as an alternative because of like the vibe, the cafes, the pubs, the eateries, and also basically the lifestyle. And we are also a 10 minutes drive to Singapore Science Park, where there's a lot of businesses as well, and just a 10 minutes to the Central Business Area, CBD. Connectivity wise, we are actually located right over here, Holland Village MRT. This is a circle line. Of course, one station away, you will reach Star Vista or Buona Vista area, which is the green line that you can change all the way down to CBD area, or in fact to the east side, which is your Changi Airport area. Another 2 stops down, you'll reach the blue line, which is the downtown line. Of course, it can take you downtown to the city area and go all the way northwards towards Hillview area. So again, location. So we are located right here. So you can see, right, this whole plot of red color over here, which is this area, right, they are actually the GCB cluster. So you can see that we are actually surrounded by all the GCB cluster in this area. So why is this important? Is because some people, they are staying in the GCB or landed enclave, right? Sometimes when they get older, some of their houses, maybe they don't have a lift, or they don't want to stay in such a big house anymore because all their kids already moved out. Then where will they be looking at? Obviously, it will be like condo, probably nearer to the landed area, because they are very used to this area. So most of the time, they will be looking at maybe One Holland Village, Skye at Holland will be one of the choice, Ben Holland, and all these projects that are nearby. So it's good that we are actually in the midst of all the landed enclave, and that also means that people that are shopping around our neighborhood area for supermarket or like food, eateries, they are also a little bit more atas, more richer crowd and things like that. So you are identified alongside with them. Alright, so in terms of facing, I think the developer is quite smart. I think after so many, like analysis, we do know that, developers are quite smart one. They won't purposely go and build like the unit that is facing like One Holland Village or facing the HDB directly, for example. So the facing itself is actually this 2 block. If you were to ask me, I would think that this is actually a little bit more of a prime block, because if you're facing this side, you will be looking more towards the GCB area. But for this one, right now where we are looking at is actually the southeast direction. Okay, so southeast direction, basically you are looking at this part right over here. So you are looking towards the city area. It's pretty much an unblocked view. So a lot of people say, hey, but this area right now is actually going to be, it's a car park, but it's going to be a HDB. But like I mentioned, HDB government also quite smart. When they build, right, they actually build a multi-story car park first, then your 2 blocks is here. But they stagger it in such a way that even at the edge, this should be a 3-bedder if I'm not wrong. When you're looking out, right, you still cut through the whole HDB area, and you have an unblocked view that you look far away. So this is actually the view that you're looking at, looking towards the CBD and Botanical Garden area. Next up, we have the northwest facing, which is on the flip side, which is this area. Then they're looking out, which is more prime that I mentioned earlier on, because this area you'll be looking at all your GCB cluster. And frankly speaking, not many people can boast that, in my view, right outside my house, I'll be looking at the GCB, If you don't face another HDB or another condo block, it's good enough already. But this one, you do get that kind of unblocked view. And if you look further, you can even see your Bukit Timah Nature Reserve. Okay, very interesting. Next, let's go into perspective. In terms of perspective, we got some right over here. You can see the visuals of how the main function room will be looking like, the barbecue pavilion, the resident lounge area, the main gym, the 50-meter lap pool, you have your clubhouse, you have a leisure pool. Actually, you have multiple pools. In fact, for this project, you have 2 different guardhouse. Very, very seldom you get this kind of 666 units project that come with 2 different guardhouse. So you can enter and exit by, both sides. And there's multiple side gates as well, which we will touch on shortly. Okay, next, let's move into the site map. Okay, so for site map, right, as you can see over here, I've included the length, from the unit itself all the way. This is all the way to the end of the project. And I also have those that from the end of the unit all the way to as far as One Holland Village. Okay, so in terms of superimpose, you can look over here. This is how the superimposed Skye at Holland is like. We are right next to One Holland Village residences, one road across. And One Holland Village is right over here with a lot of eateries. I think I don't need to repeat myself again on this. In terms of facing wise, like I mentioned, this unit here, right, if you think that right over here is just 10 meters away, but this is 10 meters away to the end of your condo. In fact, if you're looking out from the unit, right, to the next block itself, you're looking at about 110 meters away, which is really, really far because it cuts all the way across your multi-story. But if you really want like a unit level that surpass the visual of the multi-story, then maybe you can look at something that is like 9th floor and above. You pretty much get a very clear visual already. And then from the other edge wise, you will be looking at the 7-meter range, vice versa. So in terms of site map, if you want to know what exactly are the facilities in, you can screen grab this page, or you can actually contact me. I can send you all the brochures because we have all the lifestyle brochures, elevation chart, site map and things like that. So basically you are facing 4 different roads. This is the Holland Village Way, which is really a small road. This is the North Buona Vista Road, a slightly bigger road. You have your Holland Road here and Holland Drive over here. So just now when I mentioned that you have the guardhouse, right? This is one guardhouse where there is the Arrival Plaza, which is over here, and the second guardhouse is right over here. Okay, so you got 2 different guardhouse, and for side gates, you have 3 side gates. One is located near the main gate, one is at the back, and then one is right over here. In terms of pool, you got obviously here, and then you have your jacuzzi and wellness pool over here, and you also have your number 43, your leisure pool, which is just now what I show you in the perspective over here, and the gym is indicated in red over here. The rest you can actually have a look yourself. In terms of unit type, it ranges from 2-bedder all the way to 5-bedder. For 2-bedder, we have the 2-bed, 2-bed premium, 2-bed premium plus study. 3-bed, we have 3-bedder, 3-bed premium. 4-bedder, we have 4-bedder with private lift, 4-bedder premium with private lift, 5-bedder with private lift. So as you can see, because like I mentioned to you, in Holland area, most of the time, the people staying here are a bit on a richer or affluent end. So private lift is very, very important to them. That's why the developer is very smart that from 4-bedder onwards all the way, right, they give private lift. And in fact, one of my favorite layout, right, it's got to be this. I already give you a bonus already because it's very, very similar to Pine Tree Hills 4-bedder layout, which I will touch on shortly. Elevation chart, you can screen grab over here. Basically, it's the distribution of the different sizes for each block itself. Block 2 is basically the one that has some unit facing the GCB area, which I feel that is actually a bit more prime. Alright, so right now I want to touch on this topic back to 2019 price, and what do I mean by it, and it's very, very crucial for our analysis for this series. Without further ado, let's go into this. First off, 2-bedder. From here you can see Skye at Holland is a harmonized project. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit smaller because things like aircon latch is not taken into consideration, loft is not taken into consideration. So we are using an average PSF of 2,800 to count, and we are actually quoting slightly higher. Likely it might be a PSF that is lower than 2.8 starting from. Okay, so based on 581 and at a 2.8 PSF, we are looking at a $1.626 million. So now let's compare to One Holland Village that was launched some time back in 2019. So their 2-bed 1-bath smallest unit is 689 square feet. 689 square feet, of course, including aircon latch and all. Usable space actually might be quite similar to Skye at Holland. PSF, of course, slightly lower. We are looking at 2,361 PSF.
price, 1.626. As you can see between these two price, right, it's almost identical. And bear in mind, we are actually using a 0207 as a comparison. We never even quote like, higher floor and all. Okay, so this shows that you are actually buying a newer product at yesterday's price. Now let's take a look at 2 bed 2 bath. 667 square feet for Skye at Holland, again harmonized, right? You are looking at a $1.867 million. So now if we are comparing it to the same smaller 2 bed 2 bath, One Holland Village is at 797 square feet, 2,321. That works out to be 1.850. Again, very much similar price as compared to Skye at Holland's 2 bed 2 bath. Again, right now we are actually using a level 2 unit as comparison. Yeah. So next, you will say that, oh, maybe the layout is very different. All this layout might be, so much bigger and things like that. Now let's bring you guys to the layout. So this is our 2 bed 1 bath layout, 581 square feet, which we will speak of a lot more later when we are comparing the layouts. So basically, you can see the moment you enter, the kitchenette is actually on the right side. It's a walk-in kitchen, meaning to say that it's a basically so over here, the moment you enter the kitchen, right, the moment you enter the kitchenette is actually tucked at the right side. Similarly, for One Holland Village, the moment you enter, kitchen is tucked at the left side. Okay, pretty much quite similar. So 2 bed 1 bath, you have your master room with attached bathroom, you have your master room with attached bathroom, you have your common room here, you have your common room here, you have your living space, pretty similar to One Holland Village. The only difference is probably the balcony area. Maybe this has a slightly smaller balcony. This has a wider balcony, but it actually uses like, a sliding kind of door system, like foldable kind, not sliding. So it takes up a little bit more space over here, right? For this, our Skye at Holland, we are using a sliding door system. Okay, so in terms of layout, actually almost identical, right? But yesterday's, almost identical, right? But you are buying in a current new project at yesterday's project price. So that makes it really attractive. Next up, we have a 2 bed 2 bath comparison right over here. So you can see actually 2 bed 2 bath, right? Ours, we actually get a wider kitchen area. Of course, this is a tucked-in L-shaped kitchen. Over here, right, you can imagine the moment you swing open the door, right, you actually get a really huge space. Whereas as compared to One Holland Village, right, it's again similar to the 2 bed 1 bath in One Holland Village. The moment you enter, the kitchen is actually a straight line kitchenette that tucked at one side. This is actually a traditional layout, whereas the 667 one is a bit more space efficient. It's actually a dumbbell layout over here. And do note that the common bath is actually a Jack and Jill kind of concept, meaning to say that bedroom 2 can access and also your guests can access. Whereas for this one, you have to cross opposite and your guests got to come over here. So in terms of layout, actually the BP1 at Skye at Holland has a better layout. Alright, so now let's look at 2019 price comparison. So now let's look at the 3-bedder back to 2019 price. Again, similarly, our 3-bedder, which is the most compact at Skye at Holland, is 915 square feet. If we are looking at a 2,800 PSF, which we are quoting slightly higher, you are looking at 2.562, which is already cheaper than the 3-bedder at One Holland Village at 1098 at 2354 PSF. Imagine if this is lower, this is going to be lower, which means it's going to be a lot cheaper than One Holland Village during its launch. Okay, so next we'll be looking at 3-bed premium. Similarly, our 3-bed premium is slightly smaller, 1076 square feet, as compared to the 3-bed premium in One Holland Village is much bigger, it's at 1238 square feet. And back then, their bigger unit is actually going at a higher PSF. This one, $3,053. That works out a price of $3.779 million as compared to ours, which is $3.012. That's about $700,000 increase. If you want to buy in a slightly older One Holland Village, most people, if you are out there as a resale buyer, if you're comparing this price and this price, you'll be questioning yourself, why do I need to spend, $700,000 more, to buy a 3-bed premium unless you really need that much of a size. Let's look at the layout comparison right now. So for the 915 square feet, very much compact. You have a short, small foyer, which is over here. You have a proper kitchen, squarish one. Most importantly, this whole part is glass panel, so it allows the light to penetrate through in, making the whole kitchen much brighter, much bigger. The rooms are both at this side and one other room over here. But I think the important thing is actually the aircon latch is behind this room and the window is actually on this side. Meaning to say that this window is slightly going to be full height window, full height window, full height window, which is quite rare because most of the time for compact 3-bedder, a lot of time the aircon latch is actually behind the window of the third bedroom. That means your bedroom 3 will only get half window. But for this one, you actually probably get full window, full window, full window, and a good sized balcony, and also a glass panel kitchen. Okay, as compared to our C1 at One Holland Village 1098 square feet. This you get a much elongated balcony with a folding system, but sometimes because the balcony is slightly thinner, you might not be able to utilize that space. Maybe you book a square table, then it's already taken up this space already, and then you probably can put some potted plants over here. That's about it. Okay, and then the rooms are all pretty much traditional over here. Okay, full height, and then of course this one it leads you to the balcony area. So sometimes if you have a lot of things over here, it might block the sun from coming in. Okay, and then this one you have a kitchen that is tucked at this corner. Okay, and what happens if it's stuck at this corner? Because the light can't penetrate through in, likely this whole kitchen is going to be pretty dark. Okay, and then you have a utility and you have a WC over here. I mean, those are the extra. You probably have extra utility, extra WC, and slightly bigger space at balcony. And then in terms of living, you have a 6-seater. You also have a 6-seater here, and then of course you have a 3-seater living space as well. Quite similar, except the fact that there is utility, WC, and also a slightly bigger balcony.
So next, before we go into the description of our layout, we will be touching on the performance of larger floor plates and why larger floor plates is actually more impressive and perform better in this area. Okay, so like what I mentioned to you, this area is very exclusive, filled with a lot of GCB owners and also landed enclave owners. And if you notice later as I go through, the different project that is closer to our Skye At Holland, you notice that a lot of the project for the 3-bedder, 4-bedder, 5-bedder is all very big and the performance is all very good. Having said that doesn't mean that, the smaller floor plate like the 2-bedder or the smaller 3-bedder will not perform. There will still be people coming into this area, nowadays we don't really have bigger families, right? So like couple with young kids, couple with pets, etc. They might be the ones looking at your 2-bedder. So right now, let's dive into the performance of larger floor plates. So before we go into the in-depth of the prices itself, let me just highlight to you, this is Leiden Green. This is Leiden Residences and this is the Leiden, which is very, very close to the Holland Village area. Okay, and there is a market right across and all. So why are we talking about this 3 area is because of the floor plate and how they perform in terms of the larger size. So first off, we look at the Leiden. Okay, the Leiden, we'll be looking at the 3-bedder, 4-bedder and 5-bedder and their performance. Holding period, okay, between about 7 to 12 years, you can see that most owners actually profit from $1.18 million to $1.31 million. Even for you can see that the owners profit from 1.18 million to 1.31 million, and these are the 4-bedders that we are looking at over the 7 to 12 years mark. And one thing you notice is that the 4-bedder, right, is actually on the bigger floor plate size, 1,009 all the way to the 2,000, in fact even the 4,900. But let's just look at the 1,900 plus square feet ones. The profit is also sitting at about $1.18 million, pretty similar, and a very, very huge profit for a 4-bedder. Next, we'll be looking at Leiden Green. Okay, you can see that also the 3-bedders, right? Sorry, the 4-bedders, they are looking at around 1,496 square feet. The 3-bedder is about 958 square feet. So the profit for the 3-bedder, you're looking at about 890. And the profit for the bigger floor plate, which is the 4-bedder, wow, they all mostly cross the $1 million range. Okay, so you can see holding period actually not very long. It's just 4 to 5 years, but the profit is actually there. All this shows that actually, right, a lot of buyers coming into this area, a lot of time they are looking at a bigger unit because people that are coming in here, like I mentioned, is more affluent. So sometimes budget might not be too much of a constraint. So if I want to buy a 4-bedder, they are okay to go for a bigger 4-bedder at a more expensive price range because it's within their budget. So next we'll be looking at Leiden residences. This time round we have the 3-bedder, 4-bedder and 5-bedder. You can see holding period 4 to 12 years, profit from 1.33 million all the way to $4 million. Of course, the $4 million will be for 5-bedder, 6,125 square feet at $4 million. The 4-bedder ranges from 2,000 plus PSF, 2,000 plus square feet. So the profit, you are looking at about 1.3 to 1.9 million dollar. Okay. For the profit wise, you are looking at about 1.3 million. And for 3-bedder, also similarly 2,000 range square feet, you're looking at $1.9 million profit range. Okay, so that is actually a lot of profit for this kind of larger floor plate. And it actually goes to show you that a lot of people are coming into this area to buy bigger floor plates as well. So if you are looking at a 2-bedder just purely for rental yield, maybe you can just contact me because there might be other areas that are a bit more suitable because in terms of quantum might be way cheaper that is close to this area. But if you're looking for own stay, of course the two-bedder over here is not too bad for own stay. Now let's get into our 2-bed 1-bath analysis. So first off, for Skye at Holland, you can see that for 2-bed 1-bath, the size itself is 581 square feet. They are almost identical, just the difference in the stack. So stack 18 over here is actually inner facing the leisure pool, and stack 15 is actually outwards facing. In terms of layout, they are almost identical, just that the positioning of dining is a little bit different. So for B1 type, the dining space is actually right behind the kitchenette. So the moment you enter from the living room, you will not be able to see the kitchen directly. Whereas for this B2 type, the dining space protrudes out a little in the living room because of the different positioning of the DB box. The DB box is actually over here. So if you open your door, technically speaking, you can see this person that is actually dining over here. Other than that, pretty much they are quite similar. So next off, we'll be going into 2-bed 2-bath premium analysis. So basically, this is the basic 2-bed 2-bath, 667 square feet. For the 667 square feet, we have stack 5 and stack 2. Similarly, for stack 5 is facing the GCB area. Of course, you get the very, very nice view. If you're someone that's looking at a 2-bed 2-bath basic to start with, if you're going to stay in the unit itself, then this might be one unit for you to look out for because this will ensure you to have a really, really nice view. Then you have stack 2, which is the inner leisure stack facing as well. In terms of layout, once again, they are pretty similar. And this is the layout whereby when you enter into the kitchen area, you can see that there is actually ample space over here. In fact, some people actually put another island here with roller so that sometimes when you don't use, you can actually roll over to your dining and act it as a dining space. If you need countertop to, bake and to prepare your dinner, you can actually shift it here as a countertop space. So it's very space efficient. Another thing to highlight is that the common bath is actually a Jack and Jill concept. So your guests can actually enter from the living and dining, and the one that's staying in the bedroom too can also access via his or her room as well. So this is a very, very interesting and space efficient kind of layout. Next, we go into the 678, which is slightly bigger, which is BP3 and BP4. So for this one, in terms of difference, is you got a proper tuck-in kitchen that you can do up a sliding door, right? So dining space also, you got a proper dining space that is tucked at the back. This one is tucked at the back of the kitchen and this is tucked at the back of the wall, so full privacy. In fact, you can actually change this piece of wall to glass panel, allowing more lights to flow in as well. Okay, so similarly, you have the inner facing one and you have the outer facing one as well. So next up, we go into 2-bed premium plus study analysis. Basically, very similar to the 2-bed premium with the addition of study. But this study area, right, for this 732 square feet BPS1 and BPS2, basically the study is actually tucked in the master room itself. So you can remove this and enlarge it into a very, very big master room. If you're someone that you need a lot of bigger space in a master room, like for example, this space to put your maybe vanity table, your study, or in fact your massage chair, this layout might be suitable for you. Again, kitchen, you're able to do a sliding door as well, Jack and Jill common bathroom. And also in the study, there is actually a door for you to enter into the balcony area as well. So you can enter from your master room. With this, right, there will be some lights coming in from here and lights coming from here. So your master room will probably be quite bright unless you change this whole area into a concrete wall. Alright, so in terms of facing, you have stack 7 that is outer facing the GCB area, and you have stack 1 and stack 10 that is inner facing as well. And then next will be the biggest 2-bed premium plus study 743. Okay, so for this one, if you notice, this is actually a traditional layout already. In terms of the kitchen area, you can do sliding door. They have already cut out the glass panel for you, so allowing more lights to enter into the kitchen. And the study corner is actually tucked at the living room side, which you can convert it into a helper's room or into a storage area, which is much better in my opinion as compared to if you were to put it in the master room. I mean, to each their own. Some people actually prefer a bigger master room, so it's really your option and your choice. And then it's actually located in stack 6, the GCB facing as well. So let's go into the 2-bed top choice. So like what I mentioned, I think I already gave hint earlier on, my personal favorite will be the 643. Like I mentioned, Holland area usually is for own stay, and most people when they are coming over here, they are a little bit more cash rich. They want the best, the bigger ones, and the better layout in terms of own stay. And this is the traditional layout, which is more ideal for own stay, and is also the biggest unit type for a 2-bedder premium plus study. Okay, on top of that, there is a segregated study that you can convert it into something else rather than just a bigger master room. So this is something that is more ideal. But of course, if you want a door, that connects you from your master room to the balcony, or you want a bigger balcony, then go for the 2-bed premium plus study, which is the BPS2 version, which is right over here. Sorry, BPS1 and BPS2. So next up, we will go into 3-bedder analysis. So for a 3-bedder, right, the smallest, like what we mentioned earlier, we have 915 square feet, 915 square feet. This is actually it's a compact size, but it's very, very functional because you have a proper kitchen. And this time round, because this is glass panel, allowing more lights to come in, right, you can put in a 6-seater. In fact, you can even open slightly bigger to an 8-seater. The rooms are all different facing. One facing here, master bedroom same facing, and then you have the other room that is facing on the flip side. But the window, right, is actually a full height window as compared to some, condos for the compact size usually is like a half window for one of the room. So for this one, you actually have 2 proper bathroom, master bath and a common bath as well. Okay, so for both stack 12 and stack 16, they are pretty much similar in terms of layout, just that the facing is a bit different. You have the outer facing and the inner facing. This stack 16, right, which is over here, might be one of the, in my opinion, it should be a bit more affordable lah, because right over here you'll be looking at the BTO stack. Although it's really not too much of a block, but if you pick your eyes out, it's still a bit of an eyesore. You get what I mean? And you are the most corner unit. So for this one, I think in terms of PSF might be the most affordable. So if you are one that want to enter into, Holland Village area, and 915 is a good, size for you to begin with, and you're looking for a lower PSF, you might take note on this unit. Okay, next we'll be going into our 3-bed premium analysis, which is at 1076 square feet. For my buyers out there, 1184 is usually a typical current 5-room HDB size. In fact, 1076, if you want to compare in the HDB term, is almost like a good 5-room size, because 5-room is about 1184 square feet. Okay, so for this one, you actually have a foyer. The difference between these two layout, right, literally is the facing. Stack 03 over here, you are facing the wellness pool, and then stack 13, you are outer facing. So this one, you have a little bit more like a both private foyer, slightly longer foyer. This one, it has a slightly shorter foyer. So for 3 premium, what's the difference? Is now that you have a dry kitchen and a wet kitchen. Just now you only have a normal kitchen, right? Now it comes with a yard, a WC, and the bomb shelter. Basically, these are the difference. And of course, room size might be slightly bigger. I don't have the actual size for it yet, but I think it's coming soon. If you need, just let me know. Room wise, they are all tucked at one side. Okay, tucked at one side. So pretty much they are similar in terms of layout. Okay, and then next is our 3-bed top choice. Okay, so for 3 beta top choice, like I mentioned earlier on, for this cluster, especially Holland area, the bigger floor plate are the one that is performing better. So try to aim for the bigger the better. So we choose 1076, and reason why I choose this over here, right, is because this stack, right, if you choose on a higher level, pretty much is quite unblocked still, and PSF might be slightly lower as compared to the inner facing stack, right? And also the foyer is slightly smaller, so actually more space is given to the internal part of the house. But of course, if you don't want if you are buying something that is lower, you don't need the unblocked view, you want the inner view, then of course you can choose the other stack, which is stack 3 if I'm not wrong. Yes, stack 3. Right now, let's dive into 4 beta. Before we go any further, like I mentioned earlier in our earlier slides, right? In Holland area, most of the time, buyers are actually looking at bigger floor plates. Okay, buyer a little bit more cash rich, a little bit more atas. Typically, if they are going for a bigger floor plate which perform better, like what we shared earlier on, which is maybe a bigger 3 beta and above, especially for 4 beta and above, usually they will expect a private lift. Hence, for Skye at Holland, from 4 beta onwards, 4 premium, 5 beta, all the way, it comes with a private lift. So this is actually the type D1 and type D2. In terms of size, 1238 square feet, a very, very, very good size. Pretty typical 4 beta these days, like the smaller compact 4 beta. But one thing to highlight is what we notice after we do a lot of researches and things like that in the Holland area is that this area typically for the 4 beta, it stretches from 2,000 plus square feet all the way to even up to 8,000 plus square feet. Meaning to say the quantum, you are easily looking at a $15 million all the way above to maybe 25 million or even crossing this kind of threshold. So if you're someone that has a little bit of a tighter budget, you cannot take the 3 premium because maybe you have 3 kids, you need a 3, like a 3 common bedroom plus your master room, then you probably will need to look at this. And this is going to be a very safe unit for you to enter because there isn't any supply of this type of units, which is the 4 beta in Holland area that is this size. Meaning to say the quantum will be very, very attractive because if I take 1238 multiplied by 2000 APSF, you're only looking at $3.466 million. And this amount, it is probably the 3 beta bigger floor plate older resale condo prices in Holland Village. Okay, so for type D1, we are looking at this stack 09 outward facing over here, and we are also looking at stack 17 inner, actually it's inner facing, but this whole facing, right, because it's at the edge, so you will also be looking at the GCB area. So this will be quite interesting. Alright, so you're typically looking at the range of 3.4 and above, but then again, we actually quoted probably slightly higher as a starting PSF. So it might be even lower. In terms of floor plan, the moment you come in, okay, so we have 2 different entrances. This is your secondary entrance. Of course, we got a private lift, you got a private lobby, and coming in here straight away, you will be able to see your dining area. You have your dry kitchen and your wet kitchenette with a secondary exit at the back. And then you have a bomb shelter right over here. So balcony, they give you a very, very standard size. So you save a lot of space, and the space itself is spread out into your room, which is over here, your common room, and then your master bedroom with actually a longer kind of wardrobe over here. For this, of course, the toilet wise, right, it comes with window, and also window. Okay, for the 4th bedroom, this will be a half height window because right behind is actually the aircon latch. Alright, so typically for B2, you will have a similar floor plan as well. Next, like what I mentioned earlier, within 1 kilometer, when we did our research earlier on, there is no 4 beta below 1,300 square feet. In fact, for the smallest 4 beta, right, you'll be looking at Van Holland, which is over here. Quite a new project lah, okay, not too old. So the smallest 4 beta is 1,346 square feet, and transacted in 2022 is already at $3.89 million. So right now, you're actually entering a Skye at Holland 4 beta at a price that is below a resale condo. And look around, all these other condos, right? For example, the Ford sizes is 1,008 and above. If you're looking at this Willinville, it's about 1,005 to 1,008. In fact, if you're looking at Holland Residences, 2,002 to 2,008, and Warner Court, 4,000 over square feet, and these are 4-bedders. Of course, you will have the luxury of space and size, but in terms of budget, it's going to reach the top of the roof as well. Okay, next we'll be going into 4-bed premium plus, of course, private live. What's the difference with premium is, of course, you will get a this layout is very similar to Pine Tree, which has my favorite 4-bed premium layout. So the moment you come out from your private live, this is your private foyer. Once you come out, you will be looking at a very bright area because the balcony is actually very big and long, and it's actually a landscape layout. I love it so that I can sit at the dining table and watch my TV. Okay, these days you don't get a lot of this kind of landscape layout except for the bigger unit type. Of course, the kitchen is really important to me as well, and I love this kind of sliding door allowing more lights to come in, and I love a squarish kitchen. It's really very spacious. You get to have this island in the middle, and WC is a washer. Okay, a dishwasher, and then after that you have a huge fridge over here. Of course, you have the yard, you have your windows here, you have your windows here, and you have your windows here. So a lot of ample light to penetrate through into the unit. You have the third WC, which is a helper WC over here. You have a bomb shelter that you can convert into a helper's room as well, your secondary exit. And then the rest, of course, the difference for premium is it comes with a junior master room instead of a 4-room. And for this room itself, full height window, and for all the other rooms is also full height window. Okay, and of course with a junior master, it comes with a junior master bathroom as well. And this, you have a full-fledged walk-in wardrobe for the master room, and then there is also a window here and window here, allowing a lot of lights to come in. So obviously for 4-bedder, this is going to be very interesting layout, DP1 1464. Next, we go into 4-bed top choice. I think you guys already know the answer before I go into the next slide. Of course, it's the 4-bed premium plus private live. Not just the whole layout makes sense, the size makes sense because it's not too big as well, and it's pretty much still affordable. The facing also makes sense, obviously facing the GCB. So how we know that actually one stack is more premium? So long as you see like 4-bedder and 5-bedder are in this stack, right, more or less you know that the view is going to be almost guaranteed, because developers are also quite smart. They will put the nicer view, of course, stack onto the nicer unit. Now let's go to 5-bed premium private live analysis. Of course, for 5-bedder, it is very rare in Holland area. In fact, not much of a supply. Okay, for this E1 is actually 1765 square feet size. In fact, it is considered slightly smaller than some of the 4-bedder in this area. Okay, we have level 4 all the way to level 40 is of a low supply facing here. So if we are looking at 1765 square feet, right, this is 1765, a typo. Okay, multiply by 2008, we are looking at almost $5 million for a 5-bedder. And this $5 million is way cheaper than some of the 3-bedder and a 4-bedder in the Holland area. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, some Holland area, I think the 4-bedder size already crossed $20 million. Okay, so right now, in terms of floor plan, pretty similar. You have private live lobby, you have a landscape layout, bigger balcony, you have a squarish kitchen, and you have a yard area that comes with a third WC, the WC for helper, and also the bomb shelter. Okay, in terms of normal toilet, you have one over here that is linked to the junior master, one over here. Okay, very smart one because it's a Jack and Jill concept for both bedroom 3 and bedroom 4, and you have a walk-in wardrobe for your master bedroom. Okay, and then of course you have your bedroom 5, and your bedroom 5 can actually use the toilet in this toilet as well, because there is 2 entrance points. One is over here and one is over here. Okay, very smart kind of concept. Okay, so now let's look at Holland Peak. Okay, so we don't really have a lot of 5-bedder here. If you look at Holland Peak, it's from 1994. Okay, we are talking about 30 plus years old. 2,551 square feet for a 5-bedder. Current value is already 4.5 million and above. Okay, and this is only 2,551 square feet and it's 1,994. is from the year 1994. Okay, if you look at the newer one Holland Village don't have any 5-bedder. Their 4-bedder is actually at 2088 square feet, transacted in 2019 at 6.41 already, and you're looking at probably around $5 million for Skye at Holland, which is cheaper than your next door One Holland Village 4-bedder. Of course, people, if they like, for buyers, if they need more rooms, then they will be considering yours because you are newer and you are cheaper. Next, if you're looking at 15 Holland Hill Leiden residences, their 5-bedder are mostly above 5,000 square feet. And in terms of price range, of course, 40 million even until above $20 million. Obviously, for 5-bedder, there is only one type. Can buy or not? I believe so, because it's very, very rare. As we mentioned, that there is very, very low supply, and as compared to even 4-bedder, you are still cheaper and you're still newer, and the layout is really, really good. I think this is pretty much a no-brainer if you need a 5-bedder in this area. So I think this is probably going to be quite popular too, especially in this area where a lot of people are looking at larger floor plate. So we might be surprised that this might be moving. Okay, preview date is on the 27th of September 2025, and booking date is on the 11th of October 2025. So do look out for the date. Let me know if you are keen to go down and have a look, and I will set up an appointment for you. So we have come to the end of the analysis. You can actually scan my contact over here, or you can follow me on my Instagram 2 account, and you can visit me on my website. We've come to the end of Skye at Holland's analysis, and the next analysis coming up will likely be Zion Grand, okay, which is also another project in District 3, very similar to Promenade Peak and River Green. So a lot of people will be confused, like, hey, now River Green and Promenade Peak still got extra or outstanding units or not. Should I go for all this, or should I go for this Zion Grand? So watch out for that, because I think that's going to be a long analysis. This is actually a short one. So if you need any information like brochures, perspective or anything, site plan, just feel free to reach out, and I will be sending all the details to you. Until the next one, I'll see you again. Bye!